So I've been playing Starfield for a little bit now, and I've been having a lot of fun with the game. I don't think it's a piece of trash like a lot of Sony parties have been saying, but I don't think it's a flawless masterpiece like a lot of Xbox are saying. I think it's somewhere in the middle. There's aspects to it I really like. There's aspects I don't like. And so, when playing this game, there was something that seemed a little off about this world, this title, the elements to it. And I couldn't quite place my finger on it. But then the more I played the game, the more I realized that's what's missing from this. And so yeah, today I'm going to go into what I think is one of the biggest missed opportunities in Starfield. So let's get into it.
Such beauty in the midst of weapons.
Good day, Captain.
Okay, so when you travel to a planet in Starfield, you'll notice that, when you get to like a outpost, it'll be populated with, the citizens of said outpost. And you'll kind of notice something a little suspicious about them. But you go on with your gameplay and you move to, New Atlantis. And you know something eerily similar to the Martian outpost that you did with New Atlantis, and with that Western Town outpost, and with the space stations. And it's like every single outpost and colony are populated with the exact same people. I'm not saying that it's the same exact character facial models. I mean, obviously they're going to be using a lot of the same elements. No, I'm talking about the same type of people, i.e., every colony looks like downtown LA or downtown New York. That's it. That's what every colony, every outpost, every space station looks like. And it's boring, or it's uninteresting, and it leads to some of the biggest issues thinking about the logic behind these places. Like, wait a minute, why is it that someone from Mars can walk perfectly fine on New Atlantis? The gravity is much lower on Mars. Now you're probably thinking, well, what's the difference? Well, the thing is, our bodies are very adaptable. And like a show that really covers this very, very well is The Expanse. They talk about how, people born on Mars, they can't go on Earth for very long because their bodies can't handle the increased gravity. They start vomiting, they pass out, they can't handle the stress on their organs and their bones, and so they can only be on Earth for a small amount of time. Even though it's a small gravity change, it's not that much difference in gravity. It's enough to cause them to pass out and not be able to operate. Nowhere is this covered in Starfield. You have people going from New Atlantis to, Mars. I mean, you could go to places with heavier gravity and you're perfectly fine, just you can't jump as high. And it's like, honestly, they could have done some really awesome things with this. But that's not the only thing. It's, you have people living next to blue and red suns, and it doesn't change them at all. I would think living generation after generation next to a blue or red sun would create some serious alterations to a person's skin. Alright? Let alone their eyes, their hair color. I mean, hell, you might have some people, they are just evolve into having no hair, or evolve into having, different colored eyes that we're used to. But yet, every single person in this game looks like they're from Earth. And that's one of the biggest issues with this game, and one of the huge missed opportunities. Because look at the old Star Trek, the original series episodes, where when they met an alien, it was a human that had green skin. And then they go to another place, and it's a human with, a stripe down their face. Or a human with blue skin. I mean, it was all humans, but just their skin was different color. That actually is kind of realistic, if we're being honest, because look at how much a person will change in just Earth alone. I mean, there's a tribe in, like, the South Indian Sea that spends 90% of their life underwater. I mean, they're like an aquatic tribe. And they still have to breathe air, but they can hold their breaths longer than any other person on Earth. I mean, they're also more adept to swimming faster and quicker underwater than your best Olympic swimmer. And this is generation after generation of the tribe evolving to adapt to a water environment. You look at how melanin, I think it's called melanin, works with a person's skin. You look at people and tribes that have lived generation after generation close to the equator, their skin is naturally darker than tribes that have lived generation after generation closer to the North and South Pole. I mean, and that's just a difference of a couple hundred miles closer to the sun. So we're in this scenario of Starfield, you have all these civilizations that are millions of miles away from suns, next to red and blue suns, eating new types of plant life and new types of animal, and you're telling me they're all still going to look like they're from Earth? Like, honestly, just based on eating different types of food, the human colonies should look different from each other, let alone the air they're breathing, the particles they're inhaling in their lungs, the dirt that they're working in, the suns that they're close to, the range from the sun, the different types of gravity. Like, this was such a huge missed opportunity, and the more I think about it when playing the game, the more it becomes distracting. Most of these human colonists visiting New Atlantis from other worlds should look radically different from each other. Instead, they all look like they're from New York and LA. And it's like, I know you're going for a diversity type thing, like New Atlantis, it's a perfect utopia where diversity is welcome and encouraged, but it's also unrealistic because these are people from other planets. They would have to go to the hospital for gravitation sickness. They would have to go to the hospital because their skin can't handle the color of the system's current sun. They would have to wear EV suits. They would have to have their own type of oxygen because there are some planets, there might be a kind of chemical that prevents them from breathing oxygen without this chemical again, almost like a drug. I mean, and look, I'm not saying this would absolutely happen, but this is just how broad the imagination could get if they had just implemented some of these features. I mean, the sky literally would have been the limit. Like, hey, there's a society on this colony world that they are all pitch black dark skin because they are very close to their sun. And so they look like, you know, they're onyx color. And then you have another society, like, they are just translucent in skin because they are so far away from a sun that their skin doesn't need any pigmentation. So you can see, like, their skeletal structure underneath. And, you know, like, I'm not saying that would happen, but, I mean, hell, you're doing a science fiction. You could really go nuts, and you can have alien species that are originated from Earth. Like, that's one of the theories that have been discussed, is once we become a spacefaring civilization, we will naturally create alien races on other worlds because of the environments, the conditions, the sun and gravitational conditions. I mean, let's say we get to space next year. After 1,000 years, colonies are not going to look like each other. They are going to look drastically different. It is going to be alien. And like I said before, this is such a huge missed opportunity with Starfield. Bethesda could have really done something special here. Now, has this ruined the game for me? No. The game's still fun, okay? I'm still enjoying the game, but just the missed opportunity is so big here. Okay? I mean, really, you look at The Expanse, that handled this scenario far more effectively than Starfield did, because in The Expanse, they had all this intricate like detail on how people were living in the asteroid belt, on Mars, on the moons off Saturn, in Earth. I mean, it was drastically different and it felt realistic. And with Starfield, it feels unrealistic. It's like, oh, land on this new planet. Everyone looks the same. And the gravity's not affecting me. And I can breathe normally. Okay. Land on another planet. Everyone looks the same. They're far away from the sun. The gravity's heavier. And they need environmental suits. But they all look the same. I mean, it's like planet after station after station after colony after planet. Everyone looks the same. The conditions are wildly different. The food's different. The environments are different. Yet they all look like they're from New York or LA. And so, yeah, that's kind of my biggest hiccup with the game of Starfield. It's just, it all feels the same, when in reality, it should feel drastically different. So, anyway, that's been my additional thoughts on Starfield. I still will do a review on this game. I've been having a lot of fun with this game. I've run into a couple of issues with the game. Let me know what you guys think of my thoughts. Do you think I'm being ridiculous, or do you agree with me that this is a huge missed opportunity with Starfield? Like, what do you guys think? So let me know in the comments down below. My name's Chris Rukov, Let me know reviews, and that will be all for today.